For 98 years I have watched the sun rise over these same mountains. I have heard the morning bell so many times that I no longer count. I simply hear it, and I am already awake. There are days when I walk the stone path between the kitchen and the shrine, and I notice my feet, remembering the worn places, the slight dip near the old cedar, the way the path tilts just before the gate. My body has mapped this ground so thoroughly that it moves without consulting me. I find this very funny. After so many years of practice, the practice has stopped needing the one who was doing it. I did not always think this was funny. When I was young, when I first came here, full of myself and my ideas about what enlightenment would feel like, I took everything as a problem to be solved. I was very serious. My teacher, Master Wen, watched me with the same patient expression one gives a dog chasing its tail. He never told me to stop. He simply watched. I thought his patience meant I was on the right track. I would discover many years later that his patience meant something else entirely. There is a thing I have seen in nearly everyone who comes to this place. They arrive carrying their life like a very heavy bag. You can see it in how they hold their shoulders, up near their ears, as if the bag might fall if they relaxed even slightly. Some of them have been carrying that bag for so long, they no longer know it is there. They think the heaviness is just how living feels. A man came here once, a successful man, the kind whose confidence enters the room before he does. And he sat across from me with his hands folded on his knees and said he felt that something was missing. He had searched everywhere. He named the places. They were impressive places. He could not find the thing that was missing in any of them, and this confused him because he was very good at finding things. I poured him tea. I asked him what he thought the missing thing was. He spoke for a long time. When he finished, I said, "Everything you named is something you wanted to have. You have not yet told me what you are." He was quiet. He looked out at the courtyard. He said he didn't understand the question. I told him that was a very good beginning. Master Wen said something to me in my second year here that I did not understand for 50 years. I thought I understood it. I repeated it to other monks with the air of someone who has grasped a deep truth. I taught it, or thought I did. It was only at the edge of my life, when the body had grown slow and the days had grown simple, that I sat with those words one morning and felt them open like a hand releasing something it had been clutching. He had said, "The student looks for what is not there. The monk learns to see what is." I had heard this as a riddle with an answer. It is not a riddle, it is a description. And the 50 years between hearing it and understanding it, those years were not wasted time. They were the understanding itself, arriving slowly, the way light does in winter. I will tell you something about simplicity that sounds easy and is not. I have watched monks struggle with this for decades. When we first take up practice, we imagine that wisdom is something we will one day possess, a thing we do not yet have. We study, we sit, we work, we strain toward it like a man reaching for fruit just above his fingertips, just a little more, a little further, surely, soon. The straining itself is the error. But you cannot explain this to someone who is straining. They will nod and strain harder. I know because I did exactly this. My first teacher before Master Wen, an old woman in a mountain village who ground grain and had never heard of any school or lineage, told me I was trying too hard. I smiled politely. I did not believe her. I thought difficulty was necessary, that the struggle proved something. What it proved was only that I did not yet know what I was doing. She was not trying at all. She was simply there. I should have watched her more carefully than I read any text. The texts would have told me this, of course. I was not yet ready to receive it. The mind is a very interesting instrument. I do not say this as flattery. The mind is also a source of tremendous suffering, and we are far too impressed with it. Here is what I have seen over and over. The mind does not like what is. It prefers to be somewhere else, some other time, with some other arrangement of circumstances. Sit quietly for 3 minutes and you will see this. The mind will visit the past, usually not the pleasant parts, and the future, usually the anxious parts, and it will argue with the present moment as if the moment had said something offensive. This is not pathology. This is the ordinary condition of almost every human being I have ever met. You are not strange for experiencing this. What would be strange, what practice slowly reveals, is to simply see it happening without being swept along by it. I am not telling you to stop thinking. The monks who come here and try to achieve a blank, empty silence, they are practicing a new kind of straining. Thinking will happen. The mind will move. What changes with years of practice is not that the movement stops, but that you are no longer entirely identified with the movement. You can watch. There is a small but enormous difference between the mind that thinks, "I am afraid," and the mind that notices, "Fear is present." The first one has been swallowed. The second one has found a little ground to stand on. I say a little ground because I want to be honest. There are mornings even now when I wake and find I have been swallowed before I was even fully awake. I laugh at this. This is progress of a kind. I used to find it distressing. Now I find it instructive. The ego is very creative. There is a younger monk here, perhaps 60, which feels young to me now, who came to this place after a life in business. He is brilliant. His mind moves like water through a complicated system of pipes. He could analyze anything. In his first years here, he would come to me with elaborate frameworks for understanding the teachings. He had diagrams. I appreciated his effort. I also noticed that he was more comfortable with the diagram than with sitting still. He has been here 12 years now. Last spring, I watched him in the garden, pulling weeds, and he was simply pulling weeds. His face was ordinary. His shoulders were down, near where shoulders belong. He did not notice me watching. He was not performing peace. He had simply run out of the energy required to be anywhere other than where he was. This is not a small thing. This is many years of something releasing. I ask you gently to consider this. What would remain if you released the version of yourself that needs to be impressive? I am not suggesting you become less. I am suggesting you might find that what you are, without the architecture of impression, is lighter than you imagined and more durable. I carried that architecture for many years. Monks are not immune to ego. We simply have fewer obvious places to put it, so it becomes more creative. I wanted to be the kind of monk who had transcended wanting to be impressive. This is a particularly elegant trap. Master Wen saw it in me and said nothing which was the correct response. If he had pointed it out, I would have worked very hard to transcend it. Instead, he simply continued being completely himself, without apology or performance, until eventually I began to understand what that looked like and wanted it more than I wanted to be admired for having it. This is what the years have shown me. Peace is not something you arrive at. It was never somewhere else. The stillness you are seeking while you seek it, that stillness is the ground of everything, including the seeking. You have touched it, perhaps in the instant before you fully woke on a morning when you had nowhere urgent to be. Perhaps watching water, or in the middle of a task so simple your thinking mind got bored and wandered off and left you alone for a moment. You know what I am pointing toward. You have already been there. Practice is not the journey to that place. Practice is the slow removal of the habit of leaving. I am 98 years old. I do not know how many mornings remain. I find I have no particular feelings about this one way or the other, which would have troubled the younger Yang very much. He needed things to go on. He needed to matter, to continue, to arrive somewhere worthwhile before the end. I want to tell him, I want to tell you, if any of this younger Yang lives in you, that you are already somewhere worthwhile. The bell will ring in a little while, and I will walk to the shrine along the path my feet have memorized, and I will do what I have done 10,000 times. And there is in this a contentment so complete that I have no word for it that would not make it sound smaller than it is. This is what I did not understand for 50 years. This is what my master meant. Not a doctrine, not an achievement, just this, just exactly this.